Hey, what's going on, everybody? Today we got something different. It's a bullet style IAM, uh, and it's tiny. It really is tiny. This is the box that it comes in. Just a little nondescript box. There you go, right there. Some information. We have the specs on the back here. Impedance is amazingly 32 ohms. Is that correct? Let me just adjust the camera here. 32 ohms. Sensitivity is 108 decibels. Frequency 20 to 20 kilohertz. 3.5 millimeter. It's got a 6 millimeter composite diaphragm inside of it. And that's basically it. In there you'll get a manual with warranty information. You get this little pouch with these tips. These are nice looking tips. At first I thought they were the Belon tips, but they're not. They got like a gray center core that makes them a little bit more firmer. I like them. Put that aside. So that's basically what you get. Now the cable is fixed on this, meaning it's an attached cable. You can't change it out unless you do like major mods. And you know, this is right now. I think this is like $15.29. So here's the unit. It's not open back in the back. That's just a cool design they put there. As you can see, these are tiny. Open this up. And they made these, originally these were made for sleeping. Their tonality is just so pleasant. There's a filter in there. It's very hard to see because it's a micro kind of filter. Little bass ear thing there. I think that's the only ear. But this is basically it. It's tiny. It's got a little fixed cable. This cable is decent. It's a solid cable. I'm trying to think of what it reminds me of. This one has a microphone with it. Right there. Decent play and pause. And overall, the cable is nice. Mine is still coiled because I always use an amplifier. So here you have your plug. Metal fitting there, by the way. The splitter is also metal. And, of course, the microphone and wire is plastic. It is a decent cable. As with all of these that are fixed, you're always going to have to watch that. Just be careful when you're coiling it, when you're taking it out. Don't yank on them and pull them out. If you take care of them, they'll last for a long, long time. They really will. I tried a number of tips on these. The magnets are pretty strong. They kind of stick together. So we tried different type tips on this, and it responds to tips quite well. Trying to think of my favorite tips for this. Maybe let me get out my little utility box here. I forget the name of them because I don't use them too much. Usually I use KBear's tips. I like their 07s and 08s. C Pro. That's what I used, was these wide open. I like these on it to a point. Ultimately, I tried spring tips. I tried these guys. The spin fits right here on it. And you know, with the stock tips, it still sounds really good. I think that if they had made this $20 and made a 2-pin connector so I could have changed out the cable at any time, I think this would have been probably my all-time favorite. But right now it is a favorite, nonetheless. So that's just a look at the construction. Obviously, comfort on this. It's going to fit everybody's ears. I mean, this is so tiny. This just literally disappears in your ear. Yes, it's rated for sleep. You can use this for sleeping quite easily. It's very comfortable. Let's get into the sound signature. And I don't want to oversimplify the sound signature on this because it is really good. I do like these a lot. It's quite pleasant, and we'll get into the reasons why it's quite pleasant. You're talking about bass. The bass has very good extension. There's a nice deepness to the bass. It's got a nice warmth to it as well. Both sub bass and mid bass have an excellent punch, decent speed there as well with the bass. And overall, it just comes across very nice, warm. Get into the mids. The mids, of course, vocals seem to be a little forward, but the mids themselves have a little bit of recession due to the kind of smooth over wide V shape that this has. But the mids are excellent, though. They're rich. They definitely have some good tonality to the mids, quite pleasant. They have smoothness throughout the bass and the mids. Even though there's good detail there, it's still like a nice, rich kind of smoothness to them. Moving over into the treble. The treble is also smooth. It does have, a nice amount of details to it, but it doesn't overly reach. It's not overly peaky. It just is well tuned for sleep. There's nothing there that's going to knock you out of a sleep no matter what you're listening to. You could be listening to Slipknot and you're still going to fall asleep because of how pleasantly tuned this is. Soundstage, of course, is average for something of this kind. Decent. It's got some accuracy, and you can pinpoint things and where they are in that. But ultimately, the way that this is tuned overall is the star of the show here. It doesn't, do anything overly too much. There's nothing overly boosted with it. It just has a nice, warm, lush, rich tonality that I personally find pleasant. Now, obviously, this isn't going to be some reference class IAM. There is one like this that has a balanced armature from a different company, and that would be more toward that, but that isn't the greatest with details either, so it kind of defeats the purpose of having a BA. This 6mm driver in this is just incredible. It is a composite material. Not sure what composite material it is, but it does a really good job. Changing the tips can change the tune a little bit. You can get a little more bass, a little less bass, but the bass always comes across controlled no matter how much boominess you can get out of it. Stock, like I said, good bass, good control. It's got good depth. It's just ultimately, these are great. Especially for sleeping. They're great. There's nothing offensive going on here. So I think that the majority of people, as long as you're not looking for something that's reference and overly detailed or overly neutral, this is going to be perfect for you. These are really good. That's all I can say. They may not be the best built ones in the world because of the fixed cable idea, but the cable is overall decent. I usually don't like microphones, but this one came with a microphone, so there's not much you can do about that. So I could use these out, and these can be driven quite easily from any device. They sounded incredible on the Go Bar, which I mostly used for the testing with these. I did do straight from the phone, straight from the DAP, and they still sounded great. I have yet to find a type of music, including classical, a type of music, a device that makes these sound bad. That's how well tuned these are. So with that said, there's not much more to say about these. Is they're decently built. There's no major flaws with these. You just got to be careful with them because it is a lightweight IM with a fixed cable. And other than that, they sound fantastic, and they're tiny. So it's going to fit everybody's ears. It's good for, it's comfortable. It's good for sleep. And it's just a non-offensive, really rich, warm, smooth sounding IM that I think a lot of people will like. That's just in a nutshell. That's basically it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video was informative. This has been the KBear Little-Q. Thanks for watching. Please be safe.